with Sherrod Blakely at the Garden. Jimmy Toscano,
No.
Toucan Sam down there.
What does
Right?
that mean?
I don't know how many.
Two
Many
cans.
how many Friday night beers did we have?
Just two.
Just two. Just two in the car on the way home.
Two tall boys.
Two tall boys.
Two heady toppers. They're a little bit on the stronger side.
Two 8.8s.
We'll acknowledge.
Yeah. Two 8.8s. IV'd directly into my veins. So.
Yep. Hence the term V.
We're not gonna get the infamous Celtics Lakers show, Jimmy, tonight. Which, if you don't know that show,
legendary.
You gotta go back into the archives and find it, but it does exist out there.
Was that in 2016, Jimmy? That
was COVID, Sherrod. That was like 2021. Okay. Like that was the deep dark days. We got one. We got one for that night.
Yep.
That was a tough Celtics loss that night too. It was just worlds collided that night. Anyways, moving on.
And another thing, let me tell you something, John.
Listen here, John.
I had
my phone
here. That show, I had my phone like charging to the side, and I go to look at my phone, and it's like 20 texts from John being like, "Yo, you need to like tone it down. Yeah, tone it down. People are going at you in the chat. I was like, I don't know.
Oh my God.
Having a time. Having a good time. Anyways, that's not tonight. So.
Anyway, so while Bobby waits for the Cornet interview,
Bobby will have an exclusive tonight. Another one.
Good game. You know what we needed? You know what was needed tonight? A good bench game. And you got good contributions from the bench. It is a Luke Cornet game. We allow victory laps here, okay? We allow them.
Yeah.
And so
absolutely.
Bobby's going to take another one. And that's fine.
Yeah, one of only a few that he will have this year.
Yeah. But
he deserved it.
Most importantly, honestly, I think it was. I think Pritchard needed a good game. I know we're starting backwards, starting with the bench here, but look, I don't want to do a make-miss show because it was a make-miss kind of night. You know, they hit more shots tonight than they did the last two nights, and obviously that makes a difference. But like, what stands out? You need, if Pritchard's gonna be that guy who's coming off the bench each time, you need better performances than he's been giving you, and he's been brutal outside of that one blowout game where he, put up YMCA numbers in a 50-point win over Washington. Other than that, brutal, huh?
The Pro-Am numbers that he did a couple years ago. No, but
exactly. He needed it.
Sherrod, you were there.
Yeah, I mean, I wrote about Pritchard already on my Full Court Press newsletter Substack, specifically about Pritchard and how the Celtics needed to get back on track. Well, Pritchard needed this game much more than the Celtics needed in terms of wins and losses because he's been brutal. I mean, his job has been to knock down open shots. And coming into this game 3 for 20, he had a pair of threes he knocked down in the first half. So he needed to have a game that I think gave him a little bit of jolt of confidence and gave his teammates a little bit of confidence in him going forward. The thing that Pritchard does so well, he might be the best guard in the NBA, 6'1" and under doing this, is offensive rebound. I mean, he had 5 rebounds and 4 of them were on offensive glass, and 1 was an offensive rebound that he put back for a layup. That's not normal.
Off the free throw?
Yeah, off the free throw.
Yeah, what the hell was that? Where the Nets were just like
I think the Nets were in complete shock that the smallest guy on the floor had the freaking ball right in the paint, and they were like,
they let him have it. I don't know what they expected.
I like this comment, Kyle. The bench is smelling that 500K.
That's so true. That is so true.
You know what? Tatum's like, do I have to play tonight? Yeah. And like the bench is like, give me the ball.
They went for it.
For Jaylen Brown, that 500K is like less than 1% of what Jaylen Brown is going to be bringing home this year, and I can't blame guys for not being all that thrilled about this. But if I'm a bench guy, especially if I'm a bench guy on a minimum contract, this is everything. If I'm in a rotation, I'm going to go balls out every single time I'm out there. That's 500K on the line.
Yeah.
Cornet's gonna be able to complete his like Star Trek room like with that money. You know what I mean? Like that's
do you know how many lemon squares you can buy with
That's
$500K?
That's
Absolutely.
a lot of lemon squares.
That's a lot of lemon
That's
squares.
a lot of Star Trek memorabilia that you could really complete that room. But Sherrod, you mentioned it. The confidence is the big key. It felt like Mazzulla maybe alluded to the fact that he earlier, pregame, I think he had been asked about the bench, and he just said, "I want them to play with confidence." And so you kind of felt like that. Pritchard kind of went out there. Maybe they had a talk, and he was like, "Hey, man, just like play your game. Don't worry about the misses. Just keep shooting." And like there was one sequence in this one where Pritchard fast break, pulled up, took a three, missed it, got his rebound, no hesitation, took the next one and hit that one. And I kind of felt like a guy that just wasn't thinking about what's going to happen if I miss the shot. He was just thinking, this next one's going in.
Well, the big thing that he did that I thought really was just really good to see was him find ways to contribute other than making shots. Because he made a couple of threes, but he was 2 for 7, which is nothing to write home about. But his ability to get offensive rebounds, his ability to not get absolutely filleted defensively, even though he's going against guys who are bigger and in many instances faster than him. Those are the things that if you're the Boston Celtics, you go back and you look at the film, you're excited about or you're happy to see him do, because he's not going to shoot the ball well every night, but knock down a couple of shots and give us something other than shot making if that's not working for you. And he did that with the 4 offensive rebounds, some of which led to points for the Celtics. So good for him.
And that was talking Pritchard.
There is an F ton of Al Horford slander on this chat. I don't know if it's like one guy with 4 logins, but holy crap. People coming hard at Al.
Al didn't play.
Why?
Meaning like the bench played well because Al wasn't on it.
That seems.
I don't buy that.
That doesn't add up to me. I don't know what that's all about.
That doesn't add up.
I guess I'm the idiot.
This was a smart load management game for Al. This is a Brooklyn team that's small. Al is your best big defender.
All.
Yeah. This was absolutely the game where you give him a night off. And as one of the commenters mentioned, Luke Cornet put up big points against no one taller than 6'8". You know what? He should do that. Yeah. He should do that. If you're 7 feet tall and the biggest guy defending you is a good 5 to 6, 7 inches shorter, you absolutely should own his ass when there's a missed shot and you go up for it, get the offensive rebound. Absolutely. So to me, Luke did exactly what he's supposed to do.
Luke was active. That was the biggest thing. Went up, caught the alley-oop, threw it down, big man. Couple offensive board shot. He was in there in the under the rim in the paint. He did exactly what, like you said, exactly what he needed to do in those situations. And listen, if that's where he's going to shine, then fine, utilize him in those situations and keep him off the court against the guys that are, I guess, his size, which is sad to say if that's how it's going to be. But he's not going to be. We know he's not the strongest 7-footer or anywhere close to it. He's going to have an advantage on height. He's not going to have an advantage on like weight or strength against guys that are his height. So it worked out. I mean, listen, that was a good play, a good decision by Joe to know when to sit Al. He could have sat him tomorrow night, and he could have said, "Oh, well, this game means a little bit more because it's an in-season tournament. Let's play Horford." But he didn't. He made the right move, and the Celtics cruised tonight. What is it, 20 points or something like that?
Right. And for the most part, the Celtics were able to keep the minutes, relatively low for most of their players. I think only 3
Jaylen
guys played 30 or more. Right.
Yeah. Brown
and he
didn't need to sub back because he was his rotational turn to come out there in that fourth quarter, at the 3-minute mark or so where Joe's been doing it, and he didn't need to come back because they stretched the lead. So his minutes are down. I'm curious, Porzingis as well. I'm curious if Porzingis plays tomorrow.
This will be, I think,
a weird game, no?
It was, I thought he'd be a little bit more impactful.
That was one of the things I was going to bring it up, Sherrod. So I'm glad that you said that. I mean, to me, it's just weird. And I mentioned this recently, like just roles. Like what's everybody's role on this team? Or is it just going to be throw the ball up in the air and figure it out? Because Porzingis goes from taking like 19 shots or whatever it was last game to taking 4 tonight. And like, I can't imagine the Nets were doing anything to prevent him from getting more shots up. But do these guys just figure at some point, like, well, it's not my night where I'm going to be shooting the ball. Like, I'm going to let Tatum and Brown do their thing, or I'm going to let, Holiday take more. Like, how do you go from these extreme swings?
I mean, Jimmy, to be honest with you, just being here watching this game, it felt as though the Celtics figured out real early that, you know what, let's let our B team, our second unit, our non-superstars carry us tonight because we don't really need to do it. Tatum was like 6 for 17. Jaylen had it going early, and then they just basically went away from Jaylen, and Jaylen seemed perfectly fine with that. And then everyone else was just kind of chipping. You got Sam Hauser knocking down shots. Peyton's doing his thing. Luke's getting putbacks. All the guys that I think, are going to need at some point to have a big night when the stars aren't having it. They had that opportunity. They were able to get some reps and having a more prominent role, and that's a good thing for these guys.
Yeah. I thought this was Jaylen. I know Jaylen had that one super hot game, but that was like layup drills, against a team that didn't have any idea. And also a bunch of heat check threes. I mean, he was unconscious that night. I thought this was his best overall game of the season. Just in terms of approach, I thought he was patient. Yeah. I thought,
he took not reckless.
He took what was there. He was aggressive. He had a couple of just boom, catch, shoot, or boom off the dribble or take it in. I thought he picked his spots really well.
And he had 5 assists, which is while he got it going, very un-Jaylen like.
Yeah, I don't think he was kind of just driving into no man's land, like he'll do sometimes. So
he felt more in control a little bit too.
Yeah, I like the overall approach. I mean, there's one time late. And again, you can see it every time. As soon as he gets past 6, 7, 8, 9 dribbles, it's up. Other than that, you didn't see it, all game long. So it was good. And you're right. They kind of went away from him. Then he didn't really need him late, but he'd already kind of done his damage. Another weirdly passive game from Tatum. I don't want to go negative early on a ho-hum loss, but again, I think he had his first post up late in the fourth there. And that was it. And he drew a foul. I don't understand that. I don't understand 11 threes against a team like this. You should be feasting here. This is 3 games now where he's not looking to attack. And I understand it against Gobert and Embiid, where I don't even think he looked at the rim. But in these games, I thought it was strange as well. He got to the free throw line some, but a couple were on jumpers that he got fallaways that he got fouled on. Settled for 11 threes out of his 17 shots. Just again, as you said, they let the bench take it, but I thought a pretty passive game overall from Tatum. And then at least 3 instances where he didn't get back on defense in transition and allowed leak outs or, just numbers the other way. Each one resulted in a basket. Kind of a weird, again, as we talked about in the first 5 games, the evolution of Tatum taking steps forward. Anytime you see the reminders of the stuff you don't love, I don't love seeing it. So I didn't love his game tonight.
I'm hoping that he'll be a little bit more engaged tomorrow because I didn't. You're right, John. I just didn't think that he was really as locked in as we've seen him for most of this season. And I think part of that has to do with the fact of who they were playing. With all due respect to Brooklyn, I just don't think the Celtics see them as a team that they really have to, frankly, bring their A game to beat. Brooklyn plays hard for a few minutes, but basically the Celtics know they are the superior team. And if it gets a little dicey, they know that they've got the 2 best players on the floor who can pull them through because Brooklyn they cannot match up with the Celtics at all. And I know that there's no Ben Simmons, but even if Ben were out there, I mean, I'm not sure he would have made a significant difference.
Coward, Ben Simmons.
Coward.
I'm not going to go there with Ben.
Coward.
I'm not.
How?
I'm not, Jimmy. I'm gonna tell you, I'm not gonna go there with Ben because Ben has been dealing with some stuff that I don't fully understand. And Ben, I would say this: I don't think he's done as good.
He's scared of the Celtics. He's got PTSD or something.
Well, Marcus Morris isn't on the team anymore, so I don't know why. Because that was a guy that had him absolutely scared shitless. I mean, I will never forget in a playoff game to see Marcus 2-hand push him, look at him. Look at the ref, and no one says anything. It was just that happened. Let's keep going. Let's keep going. No, but listen, bottom line, the Celtics, they treated Brooklyn with the kind of respect that you treat your little cousin who is kind of scrappy and is energetic and everything. But, if you're playing a game to 7, you're going to beat the snot out of them without breaking a sweat.
Jimmy has an admirer.
Thank you, Folek. Yeah, I mean, I would agree with that. Absolutely.
Hey, now.
I got the tint right here.
We need
Friday night.
John. We need the music. We need the boom, chicka, boom, boom music in the backdrop.
A lot of people don't know this about me. When Friday comes around, I elevate my game. It doesn't matter where I am. Friday, Saturday, you see me out, I'm a different person than you see me.
I'm just glad Jimmy had that shovel ready to start scooping that up.
Don't watch the Wednesday show. Wednesday Jimmy is completely different person. Friday Jimmy is a different beast.
It's like national TV Rondo, you know?
Exactly. I know a lot of people are going to be watching this back on Saturday morning eating their cereal. I got to make sure I look good for the people.
You know, I was reading a little while back that you know,
I wanted to say something.
Millennials and younger don't really eat cereal anymore. The 20-somethings, they don't eat it. You know what? You know why the article was saying they don't eat it?
Because their parents are smarter than boomers.
One, because nobody eats that processed shit anymore like they used to. As Tom Brady once called Fruit Loops in a very angry interview on the radio, it's poison. He referred to it as poison. But the main reason was it's too complicated. It involves two things. You have the cereal and the milk. I'm like, you can't take it on the go.
That's the problem. That is the problem. Do I want to be late?
It's like I gotta get the cereal and the milk. Oh God, breakfast.
Yeah. I used to do cereal in a cup back in the day, but it like what happens is you can't finish the cereal. You end up drinking the milk before the cereal is done because it's coming out of a cup. It's a big ordeal. You can't take cereal on the go. They need to figure out a way to make that easier. But cereal is very easy.
To make cereal bars.
Turns out milk is whack.
No, I love milk. It's got to be grass-fed, though. It's got to be grass-fed, pasture-raised milk.
In 20 years, I don't think people are going to drink cow's milk.
I will tell you that I will. I'm a big milk guy. Dairy is important. So don't get me started. The algorithms got me. The algorithms have got me all over the map right now. But milk is in. Cereal's out. That being said,
I don't eat cereal.
I will have Captain Crunch once in a blue moon because I don't
eat cereal either. I'm just saying it's just interesting. But anyway, Jimmy said with the morning cereal, and I thought that was fine. Because everyone's like, finally, we got the cereal talk we've been waiting for.
We have to do a cereal show. I can go 2 hours on cereal. My family, growing up anyways, massive cereal. Probably had 15
What was the go-to cereal?
For me, it was Captain Crunch, but I would mix it Sherrod because I would mix it with like Cheerios, and if you combine those two, it's like cereal crack.
Captain Cheerios.
I'll be honest. Yeah, like you got to mix a sugar with a non-sugar, otherwise it's just mayhem.
Captain Crunch just shreds the roof of your mouth, but it is delicious.
So weak people say that, John, and I'm not surprised.
Cereal does need to hire. Thank you for keeping up on our food talk. It does need to hire a big kale PR firm.
Well, here's the thing. I will say this, and this is one of the reasons why I'm out on big cereal right now. It's because like General Mills, Post, all those companies are completely taking advantage of like the COVID and all that stuff that everyone's jacking the prices up. These companies have completely gone off the Richter scale with their pricing. So I'm kind of taking I'm out on big food right now.
Okay, we're
Hugely
out on big
food.
All right.
Big food. Don't get me started on big food in the FDA.
Here's the good thing. Let's get back to
FDA.
Oh my God, Jimmy!
Get off the road. Jimmy,
I'm gonna start texting you.
Food and drugs shouldn't be.
I'm gonna start texting you now.
Okay.
Jimmy, just pull to the side of the road, all right, and just let us get through it.
Okay, really quick.
Let's go.
I'm gonna tell you why Bobby's victory lap over Cornet is going to be short-lived in just a minute. Okay, I was going to hit him with it, but I'll tell you guys why he can't take a full victory lap. First off, I do want to tell you about our sponsor, FanDuel, the exclusive wagering partner of the CLNS Media Network. Check out FanDuel. Head over, sign up now, FanDuel.com/Boston. $150 in bonus bets when you place a winning $5 moneyline bet. Moneyline, you just pick the winner, and there's odds and $5, $5 moneyline bets. All you need to do to get that $150. These are you can't cash them in. They're non-renewable bonus bucks, but you can bet with them and make real money off of them. So it's a very good deal. If you want to check that out, again, head over to FanDuel.com/Boston and get in on the action. 150 with any $5 money line bet. Another thing we want to tell you is if you don't know what you're doing with the betting, check out OddsR, oddsr.com/Celtics. Download that app, get a 30-day free trial. They're not a sports book, but they will help you with placing bets. They use machine learning and AI, and they know what they're doing because chances are you don't. So check out oddsr.com/Celtics, 30-day free trial when you sign up over here. So here's why he can't take a victory lap. I'll put it on the screen. Bobby can't take a full Cornet victory lap without also acknowledging that this guy is good at basketball. No, that's not right.
What do you mean?
Is that right?
Yeah, I think so. Is
that line right? I think the assists are.
He was
the
an
assist
assist.
and the
His
rebound
assist might be
flipped.
high.
He was one assist away from a triple-double.
The assist and the rebound is flipped in that stat. He just missed the
12 rebounds, 9 assists. Yeah. But he would have had a triple-double, but like the dudes are missing shots, and he's like, in my opinion, like he had a triple-double type of game. I'm giving him a triple-double.
He was great. One thing I like about Holiday, he consistently attacks. He's confident. He'll take that shot. Didn't have a great shooting night, but he keeps getting after it and he keeps going to the basket. And I do like that. And I like seeing his approach to the game. But I mean, just a pro's pro. He really is everywhere. And like, it's one of those games where it's like, I mean, you just see him. I mean, he's everywhere you need him to be. Like, I mean, sneaking in, grabbing those rebounds. Obviously the defense is there every night, but it's just like one of those nights where you're like, wow, I thought he shot even better than that. He just seems like he's doing everything right all the time, and this was kind of one of those games.
What I like about you go, Sherrod.
No, you got it, Jimmy. No, you got it, Jimmy.
I was gonna say what I actually love about Holiday is that I feel like he's never gonna lose you a game. And what I mean by that is he's not playing outside of himself. He's not making reckless decisions out there. He knows what he does well. I'm not saying he's when I say he's not going to lose your game, I'm not going to say he's the reason you're going to win all your games, but he's out there contributing in a positive way to wins. And so like when he's out there, I have all the confidence in the world. Yeah, there's been a few games where he's gone cold and he's missed some shots and he's been, like a little bit off on the field goal percentage, but overall, I think he's everything you expected you were getting when they traded for him. A guy that takes the tough defensive matchup. I mean, the guy's defending Embiid as best he can. Makes a smart play, makes good passes, runs the offense, can dictate where players are supposed to be. And I don't see him forcing anything out there. Rarely. Maybe a three that you're like, you didn't have to take that. But other than that, I feel like he's just a guy that you can just trust when he's out there on the court.
Yeah, I mean, the big thing about Jrue, there we go, is that no matter who they're playing, no matter how he's playing, he's going to find a way to give you something that's going to help you either win a game or at least compete, whether it's defense, timely shot making, getting in passing lanes, forcing turnovers. But he's going to find something night in and night out to help you win. And that is a luxury that very few teams have. A guy that every single night is going to do something, who's not like your number one or number two or even your number three guy. He's at best, he's maybe your fourth option type guy. And yet that your fourth option guy is going to give you something positive night in and night out. That is, it's one of the many reasons why, and I've said this before and I'm going to say it all season long, there is no option but winning a championship for this team. You have no reason to view this team as anything other than anything short of a championship is a failure. It is a financial failure when you think about all the money that Wick Grossbeck and company is pouring into this team. It's a failure to the fans because when you look at this roster, you start looking at the NBA landscape, it's clear that there's only maybe one or two teams that you could, in theory, think that would give the Celtics a good run and could potentially beat them. But that's why Jrue Holiday types are so freaking shocking to me that he's a Celtic because he's exactly what they need. And shout out to Brad Stevens for being able to get guys that if we're being honest and real, these are the guys that Danny Ainge probably wouldn't have brought to Boston. They wouldn't have come to Boston. They wouldn't have been able to swing the deal. And Brad has been able to get guys that otherwise would not be Celtics if he weren't the GM.
And that's not even taking into consideration the guys they traded and what's going on with those guys right now. Robert.
Yeah,
Williams,
I mean the Robert Williams one was really sad.
That was sad. Yeah.
I meant to reach out to you, John, but I said no. It's a little too soon.
Yeah.
Pain is still too. It's a little too. Yeah.
But yeah, it's tough news for Rob Williams, and I saw that Brogdon left the game with a hamstring injury recently.
He's getting Brogdon. That's baked in. Every year
But
he's going to have a hammy.
Yeah, I know, but didn't happen to the Celtics as early as it did to the Blazers last year.
And then you got Marcus, my guy, playing for arguably record-wise one of the worst teams in the NBA.
Yeah, he got hosed.
What I will say with Rob, the bummer there is obviously from a personal thing, he's just this great light, and you just don't want to see it go out. And I'm really I'm really concerned, the 2 knee injuries, one and then a revision and then another major one on a second knee. I don't know what's left of him when he comes back. I hate if you
bone on
look
bone.
at it. I hate when you look at it from a Celtics perspective and be like, good thing we got out because he got hurt again. I don't know what would have happened here. It's not necessarily would have, but
no, you're not saying that. That would have exactly happened. But
if you're going to look at it from a Celtics perspective, he was probably going to get traded somewhere that may or may not have impacted your postseason chances. That takes that off the board. I kind of am bummed out because I would have liked to see what would have happened there. I had him. You saw my preseason prediction. Rob on the Warriors taking on the Celtics in the finals was where I had that going, and that would have been interesting. So again, another lost year for Rob. And I don't know what's going to happen to him coming back. It's
sad. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
All right.
I know. We know.
We can't
other
do
things
this
that
every show, John. We can't.
We can't. I'm done. What I will say, Sam Hauser had the Sam Hauseriest game in all Sam Hauserness that you could have, which is 5 out of 10 field goal attempts, 5 out of 10 3-pointers in 25 minutes, and that's what he does.
And you'll take that. You would take that every damn night.
This is what allows
big
Sam
ass
Hauser
smile
to play.
Yeah.
Yes, this is what allows Sam Hauser to play in games, not to get just played off the floor by getting eaten alive. On the defensive end.
John, he's actually their best defender. I don't know if people have told you that.
That's why Jimmy.
Yeah.
I don't know if people who know ball have told you that he's their best.
Yeah.
But yeah, the points are a bonus.
Yeah. But yes, that is defensive specialist Sam Hauser chips in with 15 points on 5 of 10 3-point shooting. Thank goodness you have that. Without that, it's over. It's over for him if he's not. It's the same thing with Pritchard. The offensive rebounds are nice, and that's what makes him sparky, right, Jimmy?
Absolutely.
Well, look, that's not what he's out there for. He's out there to be able to,
hit shots,
man the offense, give you an offensive spark.
Yeah.
And that's what Hauser's out there to do. And when they don't do that, you really wonder what they're doing out there at all. Kind of similarly, I wonder what Josue Brissett is doing out there at any point in time. This was yet another game where Sherrod's going to kind of, shake his head, wondering what did Lamar Stevens do to Joe, to
Joe
bury
that
him,
taking too many threes, I think.
And holy wow, Brissett! He looks it's like me golfing with his shot right now. It looks like he's reinventing it on every single attempt. What's my release point? What do I want to do here? It is hideous. He's afraid to take it. He's afraid to do anything on the offensive end. The energy is great. He's flying all over the place, and he's, getting hands on loose balls and offensive rebounds when he's out there. But I just can't justify these minutes right now. I can't understand them.
Be careful, John. You're talking to a card carrying orange.
Listen, I love O'Shea, but I've been very consistent in my longing to see Lamar Stevens. I want to see Lamar Stevens. I want him to get an opportunity because I'm convinced that he's going to play his way onto the floor, and they're going to have a hard time getting him off. And I don't understand why he's not playing. I just don't get it. Brissett, you're right, John. I mean, he brings great energy, but you're right. I mean, it was like literally like Russian roulette with his shot taking tonight. You really had no idea what the hell you were going to land on.
Yeah.
And I think part of it, though, I mean, to be candid, is that I think it's been ingrained in his mind that I've got Tatum, I've got Brown, I've got all these other shooters, and I'm not really going to be shooting. And when he's in position,
Yeah, I'm not supposed to shoot, right? Like, you don't expect me to shoot.
Right.
Yes,
right.
when it rotates to you and you're standing in the corner where you're supposed to be standing and you catch it, you're supposed to shoot it. You know, like that's kind of how it works. Like, otherwise, what are you standing there for? Like, that's
right.
It ended up there, and that's what you're supposed to do.
Yeah.
No, Brown cannot be traded until after next year. I would say
tell your friend.
I still think the likelihood. Yeah.
I don't get that.
I had to post it.
Actually,
I had to post it because there's a super chat.
He did. I still think the likelihood that Brown gets traded next year is higher than 50%. But
Brown had a great game. Brown did have a great game. And you know what, John, you mentioned it earlier. Tatum was kind of no-showed tonight, and if you're Tatum, I don't know how you're still going 0-for in these first quarters. And
you're right. Why aren't we asking this?
Somebody, I think I saw Bobby tweet before the game that Mazzulla mentioned that Stevens was going to get some playing time. Did he say that pregame? But it just didn't happen, I guess, for whatever reason. I can't figure it out. It's not like Stevens is like an undrafted rookie who has never touched the court before. This guy,
he started 63 games last year.
This guy had a serious role on a playoff team, and I honestly can't figure it out either. Just as clueless as everybody else.
I don't know. Let's see if this guy can figure it out.
We do
Bobby,
have a reporter on the scene.
What's the rumpus? What was the buzz post?
Scuttlebutt.
A lot of love for Pritchard. A lot of love for Pritchard. A lot of love for the bench.
We started the show with Pritchard, Bobby. I'll let you know that.
Yeah, and
we lost you 1 second.
Yeah, no, you guys probably said all there is to say there, but they needed that. And that was probably the most important part of this game. Hauser keeps his run going. You're still searching for something else, I feel like, there, but the three guys you counted on in Cornet, Hauser, and Pritchard came through tonight. So you didn't need that extra layer of production off the bench. I mean, Brissett gave you a few things early, but this is a perfectly good night for this bench. If you get this every night, which you're probably not, you'd be perfectly suited to win pretty much every game. You're going to have to figure out how to produce some consistency between those guys. But I thought it was a great move by Mazzulla playing him 30 minutes and really just letting him run with the starters out there and get his confidence back, because you could see him start stepping in the shots and just playing aggressively again. And I just talked to him in the locker room, and he said you do start to second guess yourself when you go to slumps like this. You do start to play a little bit more hesitant, and he was kind of losing himself a little bit out there, and I think he got himself back tonight. We'll see where it goes from here, but this is a super important performance from a guy you really need. He's one of the 6, 7, 8 guys that they're going to count on here on most nights.
Yep.
Who else was good on the bench tonight, Bob?
Luke.
There it is. Hey, you're not alone. This guy's on the Cornet wagon too. Oh, I lost it. K. Tyler, he's on the.
You
Cornet
know how many
wagon.
people, Bobby? You have a lot of company on Cornet Island right now.
Finally, I mean, I was getting so much crap early this year, and he was just getting the most hate on the team. It felt like. I love Eddie's. I love Eddie's Luke here too. I don't know if you guys can hear it at home, but Luke. He does a great shout out every time he scores. Yeah, so it was a fun Luke night. He does a great Luke, and I even heard it was subtle, but the crowd at one point did give a little Luke.
Did he give one of these on one of his plays? Maybe an assist or something. I thought I saw it as a flash going through, but maybe not.
He's always got something ready, and that's.
I thought I saw goggles or
favorites.
Something.
Yeah, I'm still waiting for him to hit a 3.
But
this is what you can get.
How tall was the tallest net? How tall was the tallest net tonight?
Yeah.
Oh, geez. I mean, Sharp at 6'9", 6'10", maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, they had nobody, and that's a big reason you won this game. Is you went to the post early, you played inside out.
Short shaming.
and just dominated this team physically. Transition game great too tonight. You got out on the run. You did a bunch of good stuff to keep the lead around 8 to 10 throughout and then extend it late. The Nets never really threatened in this game, despite staying close and despite shooting. What they finish 40%, and they were much better than that for pretty much the whole game. They shot ridiculous.
The no-look pass by Cornet was nice to Pritchard. That was some Globetrotters stuff right there.
And that's what he can do. He's a good passer.
It was a crazy night. Celtics had 94 field goal attempts. They had 30 after one or something like that. Crazy pace to this one, and obviously like the Nets kind of said it, but like they shot well, Nets shot well early too. And that kept them in the game. It was, interesting. These teams that are like, screw it. We're not playing D, Indiana, Brooklyn. Let's just go, And let's just whip it,
I was in on Jock Vaughn, and one of the Nets reporters asked him, "You think about playing a center?" And he was like, "I was focused on offense tonight."
Yeah, that's what they've got, man. That's what they do. And Celtics have run into now. That's 3 of their 6 wins against teams that like 4 of their 6. Washington's. I don't think Washington counts as a team. Defense optional there. So pretty interesting. Why do you think, Bobby? It was such a muted game from Porzingis tonight.
Probably the amount of transition they ran. He's going to be hanging back by the boards and, playing close to the rim defensively. So he's not going to be a big part of their transition game, especially if they're going to quick shots. I think that's another factor too. They shot the ball very quickly in this game. And the biggest area you saw that play out in a positive way, obviously they shot well in this game, but they didn't turn the ball over at all tonight. And that's been a little bit of an issue for them early this season. Joe's always talked about how if they get a quick shot, it's going to limit the amount of turnovers they have. And they only had 7 in this game, which has to be a low for them this season. So I think that's another
crazy
reason.
And a couple came late. They were like 2 turnovers, like late in the third. I forget what it was. I was shocked at a certain point in the game where I looked up and it was only 2. So this was it was a take care of the ball game.
And obviously
Holiday with 9 assists had 0 turnovers tonight. Which is crazy.
Great.
And Derek White, your 2 point guards, 0 turnovers. 5 of the 7, are Tatum and Brown, and a couple coming off the bench, I think. And that was it. But Holiday and White, nothing.
Those guys are just smart, heady players who, like I said earlier to Sherrod, I never feel like Holiday's going to do something that's going to lose you the game, or he's going to just play stupid and play reckless. I'm not saying that he's going to end up with, 20 and 15 every night, but he plays his role and he doesn't hurt you out there.
That's the thing I'll say about Holiday. He will occasionally have some box scores that resemble a Marcus Smart box score, but I feel like the process is a little bit different. I think Marcus a little bit more of a risk taker, or just kind of maybe make some poor decisions. Holidays mainly are good. Sometimes it's just basketball. You'll turn the ball over. You're trying to be aggressive for time to time. It's not needlessly so, and sometimes the shots just don't necessarily fall. And again, not a great shooting night for him. But when he was asked tonight about the game and everything that was going on, he deferred, kind of giving most of the praise to the guys on the bench.
Unit and the way they were able to get going offensively.
Yeah, I think them just continually being aggressive. I think every shooter or every player is going to go through a shooting slump. So I think staying positive mentally and staying aggressive, taking the best shots you can is key. And they do it every night, but tonight, they did it and they started falling. Knowing P, he can get to the basket, he can score whenever he wants to, but knowing when his 3-point shot is falling, he's damn near unstoppable. And then Sam, sometimes he just shoots it so high, I feel like it doesn't touch anything when it goes through the net. So always good to see them kind of get off, going off the bench.
Borderline unstoppable is what he called Pritchard there. Even Bobby isn't prone to that level of hyperbole when talking about players. That's something here.
All he had to throw in there was that he was phenomenal.
Borderline. Borderline
Wow. Unstoppable. But you want to see the threes fall a little bit more for sure. But look, this is what's in his DNA. He's a scorer. That's what he does.
This is
He
who
scores.
he is.
So he's got to do that. And like, I mean, Bobby, and like Joe, much like Brad before him, isn't going to go out there and like he wants those guys. Like that's what they're there to do. Like Hauser's supposed to shoot. Like Pritchard is supposed to shoot when he's out there. Like we talked about Brissett earlier. Brissett's out there and he's like, I don't think I'm supposed to shoot, right?
What is
like,
it that I am supposed to do?
There's a lot of guys out here. It shouldn't be me. Like those guys have a green light all the time. Like Hauser took 10 threes, granted a couple in garbage time too, but like that's what you're supposed to do.
You got to make yourself a threat. We've talked about one of the biggest issues for these second units right now is that teams are hedging away from those guys. So even if you do get downhill and attack the rim, and that's how you make yourself a threat, like Pritchard did in the second half, that's great. And it opens things up for the other guys. I thought Tatum got off the ball with those lineups and hit some threes. There were some good passing sequences on the second unit. And, of course, they were able to find Hauser out of the post. My favorite Pritchard play tonight was the offensive rebound where they doubled him and he was stuck on the baseline and he fired a perfect pass to Hauser. I thought this was one of Pritchard's better playmaking games I've seen. Again, the shot wasn't there, but he was aggressive. That probably drew defenders to him more than it otherwise would have. And he was able to attack closeouts and do some different stuff in the second half. So, again, this is the story of the game tonight. I asked Sherrod after. I was like, what's the story of this one? And it's Pritchard. You needed him to break out of whatever he was going through there. I told you pregame, John, Joe was talking about, we might see Banton tonight. Didn't come to that. And unfortunately for Pritchard, he holds on to that spot for another night here. But it was getting to a point.
I heard that too.
Yeah.
You may have heard that too. Like, oh, really? Well, okay.
Yeah. Payne said he's been staying off social media though, so
that's a smart play.
Tuning stuff out.
Yeah. Let's we're going to continue on here. We want to tell you guys again briefly about another one of our terrific sponsors here at the Garden Report. That is HelloFresh, America's #1 meal kit. If you got a crazy schedule and you can't make it down, to take care of dinner and do all the grocery shopping, or you're in a dinner time rut, HelloFresh is a really good option for you. An option for you. A lot of like in-season ingredients, customizable menus depending on what you want to do. You can swap out proteins or vegetables and kind of make really whatever you want, or just leave it up to them and say, send me some family style meals, and they will. And it's great stuff. Easy kind of pre-prepped ingredients, farm fresh. Little menu cards. 20 minutes later, you've got a gourmet meal, and that's all you need to do. All of us, we have our new HelloFresh boxes on the way. What did you guys order? What did you order?
Protein, meat.
You already know what I'm getting.
The meatloaf.
The meatloaf, man.
Meat and veg.
Just
Bobby's a pescatarian.
Stuff.
Fish.
Bobby's fish guy. He's fish guy. We already talked about this last year.
They've been serving a lot of fish here at the games too, which I've been excited about.
Fish guy. Don't eat at the garden, okay? You eat at home with HelloFresh.
Bobby's eating TD Garden fish.
Okay, it's HelloFresh.com.
Sherrod, okay. will you take this guy under your wing, please?
Jimmy, this is called the call to action. It's the most important part, okay? Thank you. Right. Yep. Thank you, buddy. HelloFresh.com/CLNS50. That's what you got to do. HelloFresh.com/CLNS50. Get 50% off plus free shipping. Once again, CLNS50 is the code. Take advantage of that special offer right now. We are packed with a full house. We have Josue Pavon on as well. Yeah, and here he is. And Josue, what's your take? Pritchard's gotten a lot of love. You were in the locker room. You were listening to those guys. Anybody dropping any knowledge or anything out of the post game that you want to report on?
Yeah, Jrue Holiday, and he was talking about Payton Pritchard.
We did. We just played that one. He called him unstoppable.
Yeah. I mean, that's great. I mean, it just shows the confidence that someone like Jrue Holiday has in him. And he also said a lot of great things about Sam Hauser. He says that sometimes he shoots that arc so high that there's no way anyone can get it. And once he gets hot, it's really hard to slow him down. So, I mean, obviously, you look at the box score, those are the two names that certainly stand out the most out of that second unit on a night where Al Horford wasn't available, on his feet, cheering these guys on. It was certainly one of those games where you want to see a team like the Celtics bounce back after losing 2 in a row in a big way, right? You want to see those starting five, the members of that starting five chilling, laughing, smiling, cheering on the rest of the team as they put the finishing touches on that win. And of course, the 3-point shot had a lot to do with that offense creating the space that they needed to put together a blowout win. But it really did, in my opinion, come down to the defense. I mean, I thought the Celtics did a really good job of just making things harder for the Brooklyn Nets, and that's something that Joe Mazzulla talked about, and them anticipating that second or third pass that really crushed the Brooklyn Nets' momentum when it mattered the most.
Yeah, defense got better as the game went on. I didn't think it started great. Yeah, they were giving up a lot of open shots. I think Joe even talked about the pass defense. After a couple passes to either side, giving up those looks. You didn't love Tatum's, John. I know the effort, especially in transition in this game. So that got better as the night went on. But this is what you talk about, John. When you're executing offensively and you're handling business and you're limiting your turnovers and all of that, that can help you get away with stuff defensively. And in the end, you end up you'll take 107 points.
Yeah, look, those are small little things. It's just like I said, you want to really kind of graduate, like, look, it's, if a team is destined for about 60 wins, which many people think that the Celtics are, that's going to leave 20-something games where you're going to, I'm not saying those are going to be all of your worst games. You might play well and lose also, mixed in with some wins where you're not really satisfied with the effort. But there's going to be 20, 25 games through the course of the year where you're like, ugh, didn't love it. No one's bringing it for 82 all the time. I get it. But you really just want to see, like, to me, the running back on transition or not standing there with your arms up and looking at the ref. That's like running out a ground ball, to first. Like, that's just, you just do it all the time.
Get him out of there.
There's just no time for it. It's really annoying because it's like, it results in buckets, it's like, just come on. Like, don't do that. Like, everyone's going to excuse, the off nights or the weird shooting nights, or sometimes you try to force the issue or you just can't get into rhythm. The simple stuff, like just run back on defense after a missed shot. It feels weird to be talking about it. Like, that's what, I hate nitpicking it, but it just drives me nuts.
Well, it's part of the consistency conversation we have with them.
Yeah.
First quarter, you gave up a decent lead. They were up 12-5 early, and they're getting rolling, and then all of a sudden, a couple transition runs that's tied at 27. And to bring it back to Pritchard, he came in and hit a big three to break that tie and get things going again for them. So this felt like a blowout for much of it, but some of that effort stuff did hurt them in the first quarter.
I'll ask you this. I'll ask anybody this. Can you imagine us having that conversation and about Derek White or Holiday?
Derek did
saying
it
like,
no.
he didn't get back on defense. He took a couple plays off there. Like, could you imagine
it'd be rare. Yeah, it'd be rare.
It'd be rare, but you know what else, John? I mean, when you're an elite scorer, I feel like that's just, you end up with those plays sometimes, right, Sherrod? I mean, like, aside from the Kobe's and the MJs, and there's obviously a handful of guys that don't fall into that category, but if you're a top scorer in the NBA, you're gonna eventually feel entitled enough to take certain plays off on the defensive end. That's just whether you like it or not. That's just part of the game.
I guess. I mean, we even watched. Go ahead, Sherrod.
I was just gonna say, I don't even think you need to be an elite player.
You don't, but you can get away with it though.
Well, the way the league goes now, where offense is at a premium and they're looking for to get you going offensively, it makes sense why guys take plays off defensively because it's not emphasized the way it used to be. Coaches talk about we're going to be better defensively. But when you listen to what they say in their post-game and pre-game pressers, and you look at the way they play, you know damn well that it's all about getting buckets. And I just wish they'd be just more honest about that and just say, you know what? Yeah, we like to play some defense, but if we keep it honest and real, last I checked, we win when we score more points.
Right.
Last time I checked, that's when we win. And yes, defense is a major part of what you should be thinking about. But most teams, they don't care as much about being an elite team defensively as they do about being elite.
It's not the elite defensively. I just can't see many instances where you're saying something like that about Al Horford, who's 37 years old, or White, or Holiday, and Holiday's 33, about like, he just chose not to get back in transition tonight. It's just something you've just got to – I understand, like, you're not going to give – balls to the wall, maximum defensive effort every single game. I mean, even Jimmy Butler's cruising to start the year, and he's Mr. Everything, you know, like, and you've seen it. I don't expect that all the time. It's just some stuff you just want to see them put behind them, and that's always one there too, because you see how that snowballs. It's just a bad habit, you know. It's like put down the donut, like put down the sweets, okay? You don't, right? Don't eat after 9 o'clock. You know, like it just you get in the habit of it. You do it, and then you do it again, and then you do it again, and just stop with it. Real quick, we'll continue the conversation, but we're talking a bit about Pritchard and like getting involved and stuff. Here's Pritchard talking about how kind of a lot of his struggles right now were in his head.
You know, I think it started messing with me mentally a little bit, but then I went back to like what made me a good shooter in the first place. So I just dialed it back into that, and you know, it's kind of just a mental game. You know, it starts to kind of affect you. You start second guessing shots, but at the end of the day, you put in too much work. So I just believe in myself.
So I'll ask you guys: blip on the radar this game, or I'm not saying turn the corner, but like, is this closer to the Pritchard you would expect we were going to see? Because I know, Bobby, you were bullish.
Yes, I think so.
You think so, Josue?
Yeah. But go ahead, Bobby.
Josue, you go. You're new.
Oh no, I thought my fault. That's what Jimmy was saying. Like, come on, like let Bobby go. No, I think so, because I think it's you know, when you have those big Pritchard performances, I think it's not realistic to expect that to happen every single time. And you know what I mean by that, right? When he's scoring 4 or 5 3-pointers, you know, high volume production, and you can't expect that consistently. But this, I mean, 2 for 7 from 3, 5 for 10 overall, mixing it up a little bit. If he's able to give you anywhere, you know, just scoring in double figures on a nightly basis, I think goes a long way for this team, right? They don't need him to be the sixth man of this team, right? They sort of already had that in someone like Al, but when Al's a perfect example tonight, right, when he's not playing, you're going to turn to guys like Pritchard and Hauser, and you want to see something similar to what we saw tonight. That should be the norm when Al's out, and when he is playing, I think seeing a stat line like this from Pritchard, if this was an average, then that's him doing his job, you know. Given a couple of nights here and there where you'll see more production just from being who he is as a shooter, right? But I also think developing as a playmaker isn't only going to improve the guys around him. It's going to improve Pritchard himself, right? It's going to improve him as a scorer overall, which I think is still part of his growth, still part of his game. He's not just a 3-point shooter, in my opinion. He's someone that can attack, you know, who can you know, pick his spots, know exactly when to set guys up and when to get his own. I think it's part of his growth, but it doesn't boil down to him going out there and making 3-pointers. You know, I think his game goes beyond that.
It's a great point.
Unstoppable.
He needs to do all that other stuff, or he's just going to be standing around waiting for the ball. And honestly, he's going to be playing next to Hauser. Hauser's the guy you want to be setting up for those looks. And I've never felt like Pritchard is the best. Stand in the corner, catch, spot up, and hit a 3 off the kick. He should be on the ball as often as possible in his minutes and getting downhill and moving in, relocating and all of that. It gets him in rhythm. I think he's better shooting off the move and off the dribble. So this was more to his style, John. And it's not that I think he's going to do this every night, but this is a formula for him to perform at this level. And credit to him, I feel like he's been offensive rebounding all year through the struggles too. So that's another thing that keeps you on the floor, I think. And as I said earlier, Joe did come to him and say, I'm not pulling you. I'm not taking you out of the rotation. So don't worry about that. And
do they have a choice?
No, but that's really sweet of Joe, though. Really sweet.
It's not like Joe's got a poo-poo platter of options that he could go with besides.
That's fair, but you could try something else. You could, but
you're not going to, because I don't think any of these guys can play. Like, I think we're sitting here.
It's not ideal.
I might say, like, the Stevens-Brissett swap may or may not happen at one point or another in terms of those, like almost an audition for those minutes. But, like, I don't think Banton's taken over for Pritchard any point in this season as kind of as a third point guard. I don't think any wing is supplanting Hauser as the first wing off the bench.
Right.
So those guys are there, and they've got to figure it out. or Brad's got to figure out, and
Hey,
trade some picks for another type of player.
Not doing
Go get a Lonnie Walker. That would make Jimmy happy.
Hold on. Who else isn't getting the planner, John?
How many stud minimum guys are we going to watch on the other team?
I think Cornet's only playing limited minutes and limited opportunities, especially when one of the bigs is out. But I mean, we saw it. He got 3 minutes last game, and they were, pointless. And then he plays tonight because Al's out, so you need the first big off the bench. So I don't think Cornet's a fixed member of the rotation. It's not Cornet slander. He's not. Those guys are. You absolutely have to play them.
Right.
So it's sink or swim at this point.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I just think that, and Bobby, we were talking about this before the game, right? I just think Mazzulla will from time to time drop Banton's name as sort of almost like a threat as to like, hey, Pritchard, this guy's waiting in the wings if you can't find some consistency. But I don't think it's a
Bailey Zappi.
Yeah, see, I don't think it's something that you're gonna flat out lose your spot. It's more of like if this is like the fourth game in a row, if you can't get it together, I'm calling on Banton, but that doesn't mean it's set in stone for the whole season,
Yeah,
so
I don't know.
I think that's something he'll do. He'll do that again if Pritchard finds himself in another drought that's longer than what we just saw. Those 3 games.
The head games.
Terrible.
The head games are silly. They're just silly. These are grown ass men. They know newsflash. If you don't play well, you will be replaced. That simple. I shouldn't have to tell you that. I shouldn't.
Yeah, I don't think that's what Joe's doing. You really think that's what he's doing, Josue?
I mean, I don't think it's like, hey, I'm looking at you, Pritchard, but it's like, hey, it's early enough in the season that I'm not going to be like, oh no, Banton, you got to wait until Pritchard gets out of his rut. You know what I mean? Like it's, if you don't have it, we're already short without Al. You're going to see Banton, and of course Pritchard forced the issue, and that wasn't the case tonight because he came correct. He came to play.
That would be funny if that's what he's doing, but I don't know. We'll see. You're right though, John. They're staying
you're supposed to do that this early in the season. I mean, nothing's set in stone.
They're staying in. No one's supplanting those 2 guys. I don't think.
No,
I think that's it. Really... I think it's the fully healthy lineup is Al and those 2 guys. I do not believe anyone's gonna take a chunk out of their minutes. And so you're maybe auditioning for a few here and there. But I mean, what did we see tonight? Svi for a second doesn't even get a shot. Useless there. Brissett, terrified to shoot. Banton never really comes in. Stevens completely left. Joe has no faith in these guys. He has faith in those guys to put them out there, and he's going to empower them. It's just a question of if they're good enough. So again, we're going to take a victory lap. Look, last game. Last game, you would argue that the bench is what killed them the most. The bench destroyed them last game, and that's why they lost. And now you're going to take a victory lap when these 2 guys come out against a depleted Nets team and have a decent game. Great. It's good to see it. But what happens when they turn around in the next game? They have another absolute dud. Pritchard has an 0-for and Hauser doesn't hit any of his threes. We're back to like, the bench isn't good enough. So like, it's going to take a lot to convince me that these guys are good enough to earn the minutes. And what kills you is when they're down a starter, and again, they had a good night tonight. When they're down a starter, you're consistently playing lineups with 3 reserves out there. And it's just, it's really scary. You see Cornet, Pritchard, and Hauser on the court at the same time. Like that's not competitive against most good teams. It's not. And but they got away with it tonight. But against most,
this is what you chose,
teams,
John. Though.
I said that last game. I was like, nobody's scared of those.
When you're down a starter, it's not a competitive line. Those lineups are terrifying.
In the wrong way.
It was funny though. Terrifying. Like I said, I was in on the Nets, and one of the reporters was like, "Did you think about putting a big in there against Cornet? He was killing you." So yeah, he did pose a threat in this one. He did on the
and this is another point I think as well. This is also what's scary is the bench really only plays well with Tatum on the court. And so when he's not, I'm always worried about those minutes. And again, for as good as Brown was, if you're just looking at plus minus, Brown with the bench versus Tatum with the bench, I think those numbers, They weren't great. And I think that's a problem all the time is initiating that offense through him. It's not the same because he's not bringing out the best of those guys. He might be scoring and doing his thing, but I don't know how it works.
You have no choice but to do that, though. You have to play.
You have no choice,
guys. Yeah.
Yeah,
it doesn't. Yeah. The other way wasn't working.
That's been an issue in years past too. I mean, that's always a bit of a thing. So
you're right, John. As the competition increases, as the stakes get higher, it's going to be tougher and tougher to play those guys, and you're going to be very short when the time comes. And this is why we keep talking about if an injury happens, they're in a scary place immediately. So you're keeping an eye out, I think, as the year goes on. You do have some tools here to upgrade if you need to. And I think that's what it's going to come down to. If they need to do something, they will. But they're not pressured to, at least in the near term here, because they want these guys to find a rhythm, figure out how to play with each other, develop some consistency. And I do think that's what they're capable of, is eating minutes here and playing well, especially with the Tatum on the floor. So, listen, these guys aren't going to break out.
It doesn't bother me when it's three of the top 6 and 2 bench guys. I think as soon as you go to that 2-to-3 ratio, particularly in the Jaylen lineups with Tatum on the bench, that's where like 10-point leads turn into tie games and things like that. I just really worried about if shots aren't falling, how the offense flows through those guys. It's really only that. And you're right, Bobby. This is the life we've chosen, right? It's
tonight's the perfect storm. You rest Horford,
but they played well.
They play well, and they're a big reason you win. And that's not always going to happen, but you got to try to make it happen. And it is a little disappointing, Jimmy, that none of these, because there was some intrigue among a lot of these new guys coming in, especially with some of the preseasons they had. And I know the chat loves Kada. He's hurt. Brissett, obviously, is a guy I liked and Sherrod likes, and Stevens is a guy that's had a lot of hype, but these guys just aren't breaking through. But
why?
It doesn't seem like
you guys are there. You guys are at the practices.
It's trust. It's just like, it's
how do you get it?
You really can't unless there's
like
an injury.
Grant all over again. Very similar to
Sherrod, good point.
Grant
on the bench for a while.
You know what Joe said too pregame is, he's going to give these guys a few minutes in the first half, and he did that tonight with Svi, right? He came in and played once rotation, and that was it. They did that in Minnesota. But like you said, Jimmy, that's not enough time to prove yourself or show what you're capable of. I don't even think Svi took a shot, did he?
No. Did I make this up, or did I see on your Twitter, or did I see on Twitter that Missoula said he was going to get Stevens in the game? Did I make that up?
Banton.
Oh, it was Banton? Okay.
Yeah.
Nobody asked about – has anyone asked about Stevens? Has anyone straight up said, why can't Stevens get on the court? This guy played significant minutes on a playoff team last year.
It's been asked. He said he likes what he's doing, and he's given these guys some positive talk. But again, it's about, can you trust them to go out there and play a stretch and withstand, those minutes? So he obviously doesn't have that trust in those guys yet. But I also think it's a factor if he really likes Pritchard.
We're talking blowout. There's been some blowout games, Bobby. These guys.
You've seen those guys in blowouts.
Have we seen Stevens in blowouts?
I think at the end of the big ones, like for a couple minutes.
Yeah, you didn't see him tonight. All right, let's wrap up the show. Let's boomer it up a little bit. Let Jimmy go here. Thoughts on the Celtics in-season tournament court? Go. Oh my God!
This might surprise you. No, this might surprise you.
I've ever seen.
It wasn't bad.
This might surprise you. I didn't hate the color scheme, and I thought it looked cool. But I am upset that I saw Steve Bulpett tweet. The Celtics requested to put a parquet design in the middle of the court, and the NBA straight up said no. So F you, Adam Silver, for not giving a shit about tradition and history.
That is silly.
Attaboy, Gelso.
In-season tournament shit down everybody's throat when you can't even make a little bit of a, you got to incorporate the history and all that stuff involved in it.
But
that does actually bother me.
When did they ask?
That does actually bother me.
When did they ask? Because it really wouldn't surprise me if the request was made like weeks before, or I don't know, like way past a particular deadline or something.
But what are we doing? What is this? This is just what is this show all about here? Like, the players don't give a shit about it. We know that for sure.
I felt like Jaylen kept it 100 when he said, look, it's ratings are down this time of the year. It's something to spice things up, and everybody voted for it. It's a business. He pretty much left it at that.
Josue? What does it take? 1 loss, 2 losses, and then the tournament. You're basically eliminated, right, from contention.
Well, you got the group. You got the group stage, so you play each team.
Yeah, you play your group stage, and then whatever you go on, and the teams that don't. But like, I don't know. Like, I'll be honest though, I thought it was kind of cool to see a different color scheme, and I didn't hate the court. I know that there are some courts that suck. The red courts are kind of weird, but to deny the Celtics their parquet is just a slap in the face. It's a slap, and it's almost as bad as Kyrie stomping on the lucky logo. Sherrod.
There's no logo on the court.
I know.
Yeah.
It's just
they got rid of it.
Kyrie got his way. Watch. You guys watch.
Tonight.
The logo won't even come back.
Heads are falling off.
The logo won't even come back now. Watch. They'll figure out a way.
The boomer rage out of Jimmy Toscano. I never thought I'd see the boomer rage like this.
I could see the smoke fuming.
I'm speaking for all the fans who feel the same way tonight. But but all that being said, I thought the court looked kind of cool. So whatever.
I don't mind. Here's the thing: is like I could live with ugly if you think it's ugly. I don't think it's necessarily ugly, but I don't care if they're ugly. It's like okay, whatever. Like it's just a game or 2 games or this that. It's dark. It's hard to see. The contrast is tough. It's just dark. That's my only problem. If it was inverted and the green stripe with the light on the other sides, I would mind it less. It's there. Some of these courts are really dark, and it's just hard to like. It's hard to see. It is a little distracting. But I don't care. They could have spray painted it pink and purple. It's fine. It's just so much dark.
Like, John, you would have lost your shit if it was green. If it was pink and purple out there, you would have been like, "What is this?"
It's like the walls of my house, like just crayon, everywhere. So,
Can we get a
It reminds me of the Bucks a little bit, the color scheme, that particular green. But if you go with the Celtic green, I don't know. It probably wouldn't have had the same pop to it. But
hey, it's got people talking about it.
Out of all the,
which is exactly what they want.
Out of all the other ones, I think the Celtics were one of the better ones. But I don't know. I gotta review it. But they're not one of the bottom 5 or 10.
For me.
Two things are important here to me. Number 1, it's a Vegas trip, which I think everyone will enjoy. Number 2.
That's what Bobby's thinking about. If there's no Vegas trip, this whole thing was worthless.
Vegas Bobby.
The very first thing Bobby mentions is Vegas. Ain't that something?
Number 2.
You gotta bring that hat too.
I do like the potential of an extra marquee matchup here. Maybe get another Sixers Celtics. Maybe get an extra Celtics Nuggets in the championship game.
I want Celtics Nuggets.
I think if it plays out that way, I think it's going to be great because you only play certain teams twice a year, and if you get a third good matchup out of that, Celtics Lakers even, that'd be awesome. Now, if it's 4 random teams and it's just a wash, and teams are resting guys. I mean, wasn't it something that the Celtics rested Horford for this? I know it's matchups and timing and all of that, but and it was just so funny hearing all the reaction, whether it was Jaylen saying, I wouldn't choose the word excited. Kristaps not knowing any of the rules this morning, saying they haven't talked about it at all. And Joe saying before the game, it was just 1 of 82. So Silver's trying to hype this up, and that's been the response from everybody, which is pretty funny.
Especially from Jaylen. You're supposed to be on Adam Silver's side. Like, what's going on? I was surprised.
Jaylen, who helped negotiate it. Are you excited? Yeah, exactly. He's like, no.
No one will even pretend.
He's never been excited about anything in his life.
So. Well, he should be excited about any regular season game, which is what this is, right? It still counts. So I don't understand why there isn't excitement. So I guess he's not excited for every game.
I'm in the same boat. Like I haven't bothered to learn what it's about until it matters. What
do you mean? There's nothing to learn.
Porzingis said the same thing. He said the same thing the other day.
It's not a matter of complicated. I don't care enough to invest even the 5 seconds it takes to learn about it.
And that's the point that so many fans have. They don't care about this until you give them a reason to care. And they haven't yet.
The only thing people have asked me is why is the tournament so early on in the year? No one even has asked what.
That's the point. It's supposed to spice up the early season.
It is spicy as hell.
But there's no interesting prize.
Did this remind you of the playoffs, Jimmy, tonight?
Yeah, I was at the edge of my seat.
Yeah, you know which part reminded me of the playoffs? Ben Simmons on the bench. That's what reminded me. Of the playoffs.
Wow.
Ooh.
Outside of that, not at all. I want to get one more.
Just minding his own business, sure, John. And
Bam! I want to get one more thing on the show before we talked about Jaylen having a better game tonight. I liked his offensive approach. Some people in the chat still going hard on him. Third quarter there, and how things went for him. And the third quarter has been a rough quarter for the Celtics. I'm not putting that on Brown, but the Celtics definitely faltered a little bit there. But we've talked a ton about Brown before the season. Like, what's going to happen, right? Can he figure it out? Can he find his role here? You've got Holiday, who's not afraid to just jack it up whenever he wants and to initiate offense on his own. You've got Porzingis, who's going to, be putting up shots. You've got Derek White, who's over the last year plus morphed into a legit offensive threat who also has a green light. And then Tatum, who's the unquestioned alpha. And we thought, like, what's Brown going to do here? How's Brown it's always been, if Tatum doesn't score, I have to score. Other than that, nobody's scoring. And obviously it's different. And here's Brown addressing that point tonight after the game.
It's definitely a balance, definitely a challenge, just trying to, figure that out, when to be yourself and be aggressive, and then when to kind of, get other guys going and let the game come to you. I think that's something that, we're all adjusting and going to have to continue to get, better at as the season goes on. But, certain things that in those adjustments, you just got to make sure you're doing. You still got to make sure you're playing defense. Still got to make sure you're rebounding and you're in the right spots. So, it's early in the season. Still got a lot to learn from this group. But it's definitely going to be an adjustment phase, and each and every night, your looks, your shots, your touches, everything might be different. So just being prepared for that. But, great start to the season, and look forward to the next game tomorrow.
Yeah.
So there's Jaylen Brown talking about that.
Yeah,
Jaylen Brown clearly jacked
up
about the tournament game too, but yeah.
I didn't feel the energy shift.
You know what, though? He kind of said exactly what we've all been thinking and saying is that he even said, he's like, you got to know when you want to be yourself, which is, being aggressive and taking 20 shots and whatever, and when to get other guys involved. So I kind of said earlier, it's like
between three defenders and
I mean, what is your role going to be? Who's determining on any given night if you're going to be the aggressor, play like yourself, or you're going to be the passive guy? And if they don't obviously know that going in, you might have a sloppy first quarter. You might have guys going 0 points in the first quarter, like you did tonight with Tatum, or whatever.
Yeah, that was weird, wasn't it?
Yeah, but that's my concern, Bobby. Is like, are the roles or is the style defined, or is it just going to be freelancing on every game? Like Porzingis tonight, 4 shots. Well, what happened from Wednesday to tonight where his shots went from 20 to 4? So is that something that he's just doing differently and just realizing, all right, well, it's not going to be my night, I guess I'm going to let Tatum and Brown shoot? Or is that just letting the game come to him, or is it a mentality thing? Like, that's what I'm kind of wondering with these guys, I guess. Are the roles and the style of play defined enough?
And is it ever does Joe ever kind of chime in on it, or is it each night like, I don't know, it was a weird one, Porzingis just didn't shoot tonight? Like, is it just happening? Like, is it?
How would we have happened with them before?
Are they policing themselves? Who is our roles determined? Does everybody feel like they're doing what they're supposed to be doing, or they're just like, hey, we're 5 good basketball players, let's just play, and whatever happens, and then you just kind of hope it works out?
That's what it feels like.
A little bit of that.
That's what I'm wondering too.
Yeah, I think there's a little bit of that. I mean, it's instinctual a lot of the time because they have to, adapt to one another. That happens with any team. But I think what Joe Mazzulla typically points to is obviously those terrible habits of last year carrying over. And a lot of the time it has to do with guys like Tatum, Brown, maybe not Derek White to a certain extent, but, when they get into those habits, Derek White's not going to be the type of guy to be like, hey, guys, we're doing it again, right? So they have to – it's up to them to sort of, recognize when it's happening. And, of course, Mazzulla can go for the timeouts and can, remind them over and over again. But at the end of the day, they're the ones that have to make sure that's, again, it's instinctual. So it has to be something that gets out of their habit quickly. You know what I mean? Quicker. And I think that's something that we've seen. I know it's early, it's still a small sample size, but we've seen when they're able to correct that. look at the last loss. It was too little, too late, but they certainly played the right way when it mattered most, and when they're in desperation mode, instead of the other desperation team that we saw last year that starts playing hero ball and start chucking up shots. Actually, kind of similar to what we saw in the overtime game against the Timberwolves, and then you saw a little bit of that more, in that fourth quarter against the Sixers.
I do want to see Derek lead a timeout. Come on, get into the guys at one point.
Oh, I would love to see that. If he was mic'd up too, that'd be great.
Yeah,
but that's just not who he is.
Marcus
Won't
style.
happen. Won't happen.
Timeout huddle from Derek.
But that's okay. That's okay. This team doesn't need that for him. He does.
By the way,
a lot of other things.
Random, but to a similar point. What's up with all the Porzingis technicals?
He leads
the league.
I think
the league right now.
Three of them have been stupid.
He didn't get the one rescinded. Yeah, that didn't get rescinded.
No.
And then flipping the ball through the basket to yourself is not the same as winging it out of bounds. It's but I get it. It's a reaction, and it's probably textbook. They're pretty silly. He's got to be
but he's
mature
almost
enough
he's almost halfway to a suspension.
Yeah,
We're not even
stupid.
in December.
He's gonna get one for sure.
He's not getting his money's worth. That's all. He's not getting his money's worth.
I kind of hope he gets it before the playoffs start, so they can get out of the way. He can reset that count.
Oh, Josue, he's on track to get it in 2 weeks.
That'll be his rest night, right?
Maybe not that soon, but
yeah, exactly, Bobby. They'll just build it into a rest night. He just won't get paid.
Right before he's on the brink, they're like, "We're gonna rest you tomorrow anyway, so just get a tech tonight."
Yeah, exactly.
He just chucks the ball to the seventh row.
On a serious note, something needs to be done about these NBA referees who are out of control right now. The Porzingis tech.
We need a boomer cam.
The Porzingis tech for the on Wednesday night was atrocious, and I don't know if you guys saw.
Yeah,
Giannis got one. Giannis got one. I think it was last night.
Oh, that was funny. No, Giannis
got tossed.
That was 2 nights ago. He got tossed, and then he bounced back with that crazy performance. Yeah.
It was his second tech of the night. He got tossed for a very small celebration. Are we allowed to have feelings anymore? Can we feel anything out there? It's an emotional game. You can't take the emotion out of the game. We're not robots yet. It's coming, but we're not robots playing. So why can't these guys get fired up about something?
I'm loving it.
Damn, this is
the boomer takes of all
back
boomer
me up
takes.
on this at least. Giannis should not be getting tossed from a game for being excited about dunking the ball. I mean, what are we doing?
Sounds like a terrible apology letter for someone who just got canceled. Does anyone can express their feelings anymore?
Seriously, though, Josue, it's true. I don't care if I'm boomering tonight. I'm saying facts. The NBA refereeing needs to be stopped. Something needs to be done. Enough with the court. It's fix our referees. You're like, here's a different designed court. Fix our referees. Oh, here's the New Jersey. No. Fix the refs. They suck. And they're controlling the game way too much. That's it.
Well,
the techs have been silly.
Yeah,
Boomer Jimmy.
The techs have been something because I was gonna say this is NBA at its fine, right? They do this every single year. The first 2 weeks of the season, no one can get away with anything. But yeah, to your point, the techs it's been a bit much. It used to be just ticky-tack fouls. Too much of it, but these technicals that are leading to ejections, it's too much. But this is what they do, right? The NBA officials, they always do this in the first couple of weeks of the season. Hopefully, they'll relax a bit now that we've reached that point.
He's gonna be fine. I don't think he's gonna miss any games. They're gonna do what they always do. They're gonna recalibrate. Porzingis is gonna talk about it a little bit. Joe will probably talk about it a little bit. It'll become a story that gets out there, and in the league, all of a sudden, you'll start seeing a lot of those real cheap techs that Porzingis picks up. He may do similar things and not get any type of anything.
John, you remember back watching the 40s and 50s. They didn't give you text for that.
I knew that was coming.
For that.
How many texts
I thought you were going to say 70s at least.
How many texts did Russell have?
They couldn't
John,
those guys.
before the three-point arc, you remember,
those
right?
guys couldn't
There's the peach basket that they had.
Because they were making so little off of their plumber salaries that they couldn't afford to miss a game check, so you couldn't throw those guys out.
They would never financially recover from that.
That's a good point.
Throw those guys out. I'm a plumber, damn it.
Yeah.
That's gonna force me to pick up OT next week. Come on,
I can't do it. What am I gonna plumb on this game? I gotta play, man.
Even like early 2000s though, just like you could do and say whatever the hell you wanted out there, man. Now you can't even laugh. You'll get teed up for laughing.
For better or for worse, Jimmy.
It's for worse, Bobby.
Answer this question. Blank fans believe the referees in their sport are great.
None.
Yeah,
it's a
an
freaking
impossible
problem.
job. It's a thankless job.
I don't
it's
think hockey refs
impossible.
are that. I don't think hockey officials get too much.
Hockey's the worst because it's so arbitrary. It's a penalty on every play. They just blow the whistle whenever they feel like it. Hockey's a disaster. Hockey people can't stand their refs. You know, it's the same thing with football.
But you can,
there's not holding.
But you know what you don't get in hockey, John? In hockey, you don't get teed up for chirping at the opponent or for bashing somebody's face in. You don't get a tee for that. Yeah, you get a 5-minute major. Well, worth it. But you're not getting technical for a little, celebration. You can celebrate after you score a goal in hockey. You can't even clap your hands after you score a point in basketball. They'll tee you up for being happy about it.
Well, there's clapping your hands, Jimmy, and then there's the infamous DX symbol that they used to do back in the 90s. Okay, so
Jimmy.
It's somewhere in the middle. Somewhere in the middle.
You can celebrate in football. You can score a touchdown and you can do a touchdown dance. You can do a celly in hockey. You can even celebrate. You can even bat flip in baseball now. But when it comes to basketball, you want to pump your fist after you dunk and you're going to get teed up? You're going to get tossed out of the game because you went like this? You can't even flinch in basketball anymore, or you're going to get booed out of the game. Superstars.
We're talking about picture of Nick.
Superstars right now. Unbelievable. I'm done. I can't do it anymore with these. NBA refs, something needs to be done. Adam Silver, something needs to be done. No more courts, no more jerseys. Get us new refs.
So Nick is somewhere with a tear just rolling down his eye, just listening to Jimmy. He's like, yes.
Nick's going to text me and be like, thank you. Thank you for saying everything that
Thank you to Amit, by the way, who he's at the game doing everybody's job for them.
Nick's
and he whips that thing up and on a whim because
how did he find that pic of Nick that easily?
Yeah, he just did that like that.
Because I'm like, hey man, he's like, I'm on it. Bang, gone. Does it in 2 seconds. Unreal.
Look at this boomer right here, right? No, I mean,
give that man a raise.
This is definitely getting uncomfortable. But we're gonna take over.
I think I made the boys $30 because of this guy.
We're gonna take these eyes.
I feel like
are crying. These eyes have seen a lot of love. Yeah.
Hey, Bullock, I love you. I love you, dude. Or
whatever.
Man, woman, dang, I'm not sure.
I love you, ma'am.
You said man. Whatever you are, whoever you are, appreciate you.
Yeah, we appreciate Amit maybe more than everybody. So we're gonna give our shout out to super producer Amit, who's literally everywhere. He's everything everywhere all at once, and comes through again from the Garden. We are gonna wrap it up tonight. Celtics win 121-107. The tournament. Can you feel the madness? Did you guys fill out your in-season tournament brackets?
Yeah. We need to figure that out. Actually, we need to have a instead of a tournament bracket that we always do for the show. We need to do an in-season bracket for the show.
Yeah,
the NBA's got to figure it out. They don't even have a bracket on the website. You click on bracket and it just explains the rules again.
That reminds me, John. What were we adding to the bracket this year from last show?
We'll get it.
Ahead of the curve. Ahead of the curve.
No, that's in March.
You were ahead of the curve.
You're ahead of the curve, buddy.
You were ahead of the curve. Where's you?
Cornet Island
back
ahead
in
of the
2016.
Curve. Cornet Island ahead of the curve. Get added to the bracket this year.
Tomorrow.
There was one request in the chat for Cornet Island T-shirts, by the way.
I like that.
John.
Was that Bobby?
I was going to say that's Bobby's alias.
That would be hilarious.
Bobby's desperately trying to say something, guys.
That's his burner account.
Sorry, Bobby.
Just telling everybody, Celtics Raptors tomorrow. And John might actually be a little excited about the Raptors because his guy's back.
I love the Raptors this year.
Dennis Schroeder.
This might be an L.
Yes.
Schroeder.
Not just Schroeder. Scotty Barnes made like 3 leaps this year. It's
he's for real. This might be an L.
Because he went backwards last year, and he looks like the real deal so far. They look good. I like them a lot. I really like the Raptors.
Same.
Another team that is ahead of the curve right now. Ime's Rockets, 5 straight wins.
Yeah, they are.
With a big one tonight.
That guy can coach.
Wow.
There's a joke in there somewhere, but I'm not even gonna do it.
He can coach, all right.
We're done. We're done. We're done. Anyway,
walk away.
Thank
Just
you guys
walk
for
away.
Thank you guys for hanging out.
Coach.
Good night. We got another one tomorrow. You will not believe who is hosting this show.
Put the graphic up.
Right.
Put the graphic up.
No, Boomer Rage.
Boomer Rage himself. Not me. Different Boomer Rage.
Will be off the chart tomorrow night. So just tune in.
There it is.
Dun, dun, dun.
I know it doesn't fit, but for some reason,
99%.
I know it doesn't fit, but for some reason, I just thought of the Stone Cold introduction music. They just dropped that.
Yeah.
Every time you see
Gelso's music.
For those of you guys hanging out, that's Nick Gelso's music. For those of you guys hanging out, please subscribe.
Shattered.
Give us a like, do whatever you're supposed to do on YouTube
things.
that makes people like us. But also, if you know other people in your Celtics community, spread the word. We love having you guys in the chat, but the more the merrier. And as the season goes on, we want to keep growing the program. So again, spread the word. Garden Report here every night. Forever, for the rest of our lives. Again, thanks guys. We'll see you later. Thanks to Sherrod, Bobby, and Josue down at the Garden. Jimmy is getting sleepy. I think those 2 tall boys are kicking in a little bit.
I'm going strong, baby. I might go Instagram Live after this. I think I got some more thoughts.
Oh no!
I'm gonna get Paul Pierce on the show.
Fire up the spaces, Jimmy.
Yeah. Bobby's really trying to get us on spaces.
I know. All right, we'll